Hey guys, it's Becca with Dragons and Beasties, and I'm going to make a dragon for you today. Here we go. Okay, so first, we got our colors all mixed up. Today we're going to make a purple dragon with green accents. And he's going to be holding a dice. A little purple and green dice. So first, need to make an armature, which is just an inner structure. Some people use wire. I usually mostly just use foil. Wire kind of drives me bonkers, so if I don't have to use it, I don't. Anyway, just take a bunch of foil. You're just going to kind of start forming it into the shape of a dragon. And kind of smooth it down, smash down any rough parts. Just kind of. Okay. So there's the body and the neck, right? Okay, and then we're going to start sticking some clay on there. I'm going to put these off to the side for now. Now sometimes your clay will be a little stiff, so you need to mush it up a little bit. I already kneaded this pretty well before I started, but you can always knead it a little bit more. Now how I start before I apply it is I kind of rough out, think of like a skinned dragon, I guess. So like this. And then just stick it. Sorry, it's going to be kind of difficult to show you what I'm doing. It's so small. I'm just going to push it all on there. And then gently shape it into the head. Now you'll find that I use mainly my fingers for all my sculpting. I don't use many tools, but the tools I do use, let me show you. So I use this. This is a flat blade, very sharp. I use it for long straight lines. Use an X-Acto knife. I think this is a darning needle. It's just like a knitting darning needle. I don't know. It's a thick needle, and it's pretty awesome for smoothing things together, especially seams. Then there's this tool that I have no idea where I got. I've had it forever. Could not tell you where to get it or what it's even called, but it's awesome. And I use this one almost exclusively as like my only tool. Anyway, back to the dragon. We're gonna keep shaping his head. It's kind of I usually shape it kind of into a, I don't know, like a shovel shape, something like that. That's just how my dragons look. You can shape yours however you want. You can like smash it, make it have a really pointy long nose or something if you want that, but I'm just gonna make it simple today for tutorial purposes. Mush it back into his head shape. Okay, now you want to put some of the body. It doesn't have to be perfect yet, you just want it to be applied. Hope you guys can see what I'm doing here. My fingers are always in the way. I usually sculpt like this the whole time, so this could be tricky for me. Okay. Mostly you just want to get the smoothness on the neck and the head, how you're wanting them. We'll work on the body after. This is how I apply my heads to my dragons. A lot of people will build the dragon's head separately and then like stick it onto the neck, and I don't like doing that. So I do it my way, and my way's better. It's a lot easier. You don't have to work with making the seams perfect or smashing his neck or messing up his details on his head that you work so hard on. So what I do is I just work on the head first. It's the very first thing I do. And I'm just gently smoothing with my fingers. There's really not a trick to smoothing. Everybody wonders why my sculptures are so smooth. It's just because I smooth and smooth and smooth as I go. So anytime I see a fingerprint, I just smooth it away. Okay, now make sure your head is symmetrical. You don't need any derpy dragons here. Okay. Now we're going to apply one of the horns. Actually, let's make this guy up a bit. We'll give him some black horns. I'm just gonna roll out a log and then taper it on the ends like this. And then take your X-Acto, and depending on how you want them, just cut them and then make them equal. Sometimes this clay is a little sticky. Okay. I want to shape out the ends a little bit so they're not all jaggy. It's really tricky showing you guys how to do this. Okay, I'm just going to stick them right on there. See, you can blend it in if you want. Mine's going to be covered by other clay, so it doesn't necessarily need to be blended. And make sure that they're equal. Yep. Now let's give him some. Actually, after I put on the first ones, I will usually make his eye sockets with, let's see, the end of a paintbrush. Works very well. So just carefully mark out where they're going to be. Try to make them even. One thing I have problems with it, I can't tell which way I'm doing this, the camera. So you just make them kind of equal, and then you can make them bigger if you want. And just very carefully expand them with your paintbrush. Keep checking them for symmetry. This guy's getting a little bit wonky. We'll fix that. And try to, as you sculpt more, you'll learn where to hold your dragon without smashing everything. When you're building his head, the neck is definitely good. You want to learn to hold them very lightly to the point where you almost drop them. And I have many times. Just why I keep the floor immaculate. Otherwise I'd get cat hair and everything. Okay. Looks pretty even to me. So now, since the dice has gold in it, it's got purple, gold, and green. So when I make dice dragons, I like to design my dragon around the dice, obviously. So we're going to give him gold eyes. You want to make sure you keep your hands free of the other color. On light colors, the gold will pick up that purple in a second. So you can either wipe it off with a paper towel or go wash your hands. Now you're going to make equal sized gold balls here. Just roll them in your fingers. And then you're going to stick them in there. Might take him a few times to get the size right. Right now he's a little bit buggy. So we need to take those down a bit. And I usually just trim everything with my fingernails because they're usually plenty long. They actually need to be cut right now. They're a little bit long. I'm probably going to gouge this guy a few times. But that's okay. I can fix him. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, now they might be too small. Eyes are a pain in the butt sometimes. Except this one. Yep. This one needs just a little bit more. Okay, now we'll push them into the eyes, socket, and hope that they are even. Okay, like that. So now he's got gold eyes. Okay, continuing with the spikes. Put gold away. Just gonna roll out more spikes. Let's see. Sometimes I'll cut them on kind of a slant so that they lay against the head better when you apply them. Like that. If it will focus on it. Yeah. Now this is going to be one of his little ear tufts. Just stick it there. You can blend it in if you want. Usually if I'm going to blend it, I blend it before I make the eye socket. Put on this other one. There's some fingerprints showing up on his back of his head there. So we'll smooth those out while we see them. Then we go back and make some more spikes. Millions and millions of spikes. You can be precise with these or you can just kind of wing it. I'm usually winging it most of the time because I make so many of these I can usually do them very easily now. I can't really give you guys proper measurements on these things because I don't measure. I don't like how that one looks, so I'm going to take it off. Make it a little bit shorter. It's better. Sculpt a lot closer up here, like I said. So hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. It's got little spikies. You just keep adding spikes until you're happy. I usually do at least 3. Sometimes I'll bring it down and make it kind of like a spiky beard. But again, for demonstration purposes, we'll keep this simple. Hope this guy turns out okay. It's kind of weird making him and trying to show how I'm doing it. Okay. Sometimes the head gets a little misshapen while you're working, so just fix it as you go. Okay. So he's got little ear spikes. Now we're going to put some spikes on the top. Just keep rolling it till you get the right size that you want. Stay. Those are a little bigger than I want, so I'll trim them. And just put them on here. And then just kind of smooth them down. Do the same on the other side. Just a knife. I don't know how many times I've dropped that and almost killed my feet with it. And do the crazy dance to avoid it. So far it hasn't landed in my foot, but it's got close. Okay. I need to curl these guys up. Now your clay should hold its shape, like how these are kind of curled, as long as it is the right consistency. If it is not staying and it just keeps drooping, it's probably too soft. We don't want that. I think I'm gonna give him a couple more spikes. A little bigger than I want. It's a lot of fine tuning when you're making these guys. Okay. Just kind of shape your spikes how you want them. Okay. So there's a head. You can see him against my shirt there. Focus. Hi guys. Okay. Now we're going to make sure his neck is smooth again. Be careful around his little spines and stuff. Now if you want at this point, if you're afraid you'll mess up the head while you're working on everything else, you can bake him for about 15 minutes, 15-20 minutes. Probably would bake him with like just the neck and head, and then just prop him between some tin foil and hold him up. And then you don't have to worry about messing up the head. But I've made so many of these I don't really need to do that anymore. Now we're going to attach the tail. over here. Pick up all the little bits. And just roll it like a tail. Now if you're worried about your tail breaking, you can put foil in this as well. Just roll it really thin and then wrap this around it. Since mine will be wrapped around a dice, it won't really be a problem. So it just depends on what your dragon is built around, I guess. If his tail is just loose, then I will usually put an armature in it. Okay. So then let's kind of measure out how long you want it. We'll leave out there. And cut it. And kind of make a little indent where it will attach to his body. And then I just smooth it into the body here. And again, make sure that his neck isn't getting mangled while you're doing this. Okay, now kind of smooth them out again. Like I said, always just constantly smooth, and then you won't end up with surprise fingerprints. Okay. So there's our little dragon. He's a snake. Okay, now we're going to make him some spikes. And the spikes, let's see if I can show you. So what I do is I actually use the curvature of my fingernail to make the curve on the spike, like that. And then just fine tune it. Make it sharp, make it thin. Take your dragon. And gently stick it on there. And like I said, if your clay is the right consistency, it should want to stick to the clay and not you. Make sure it's in the middle. There it is. Now here comes my favorite tool. I use this to push down on just on parts of the spikes, just to kind of push them in a little bit so they stick to the body. Make sure it's straight and sharp. And just continue. Make it a little bit bigger. And repeat. Sorry, there's a lot of repetitive parts of this. I kind of get in weird like trance zone sort of thing. Just kind of putting on the spikes. Put on another spike. Put on another spike. Okay. Now this part you don't want to really shape with your fingers because you'll smash the crap out of his head. Now we do another spike. I do a few spikes on his head just so that I don't have to mess with his head at all once I start putting on his limbs and his wings and all that. This is gonna be a really boring part to watch for a little bit. Okay. Okay, so that's good for now. He's got his little spikes going down the back there. We'll put him off to the side just for a second. And then wipe your hands clean again. Now we're going to do the belly. Oh, I don't think I mentioned what clay I'm using, for anybody that's wondering. It's called Primo Sculpting. I get mine at Michael's or Joann's. You can get it online as well, but I like to get it in person because then I can do the indent test. That's what I call it, where you push it and it will indent just a little bit with a slight bit of pressure, and that means it's good. Back to the dragon. Okay, so we got this lovely green I'm going to do for his belly. And I usually will just flatten out some of this by hand. And I kind of know how long to make them because, again, I've made so many of these dragons. So then I got a flat sheet, but it's kind of wonky, so you'll want to roll it flat. If you don't have a roller, I've actually, sometimes when I don't have my roller, I'll use my X-Acto. That works just a little less precise, but it works. And now when you're rolling things flat, depending on the surface, it will stick to it. And then it will not be easy to get off without ruining it. So what I have here, this is a ceramic tile. It works really well. It stays nice and cool, and clay likes cool surfaces. So if you're going to be doing a lot of sculpting, I would definitely suggest getting one. It's fantastic, especially helpful in the summer when everything is really hot. And then you're just going to cut out the shape of your belly. And like I said, I've done this a lot, so I know just how to cut it, but it will take a little bit of practice. You're going to take your dragon, make sure everything you want is smooth. Well, again, smooth, 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 always smooth. And you will have nice, smooth, fingerprint-free dragons. I'll fix any of his little spines. They might have bonked a little bit. Okay, now I'll take his belly. I'm going to start applying it. I'm going to put it right up under his chin. It's not cooperating. I'm very gentle moving this because it will want to stick to the purple. Now figure out what pose he's going to be in, if he's going to be sitting, or if he's going to be laying down. We're going to be him laying down. And figure out where you want the belly to be. So it'll be about there. So I'm on the right track. Just gently then you're just going to gently pat down the edges so it's not just a sharp edge. And of course, smooth everything again. Okay, we got a little belly. Still a snake. Alright, time for the limbs. Okay, first I start with these haunches. You're gonna want to size these. Well, these are too big. A little too big. Make them equal size. That's about the same. And then make sure he is smooth there. And make sure he's where you want him, because these will kind of act as an anchor while you're working on the rest of him. Like that. Now they're kind of loose, just sitting there. Sometimes I will smooth these in to his tail. Sometimes I do not. Right now I'm not going to, because, again, for tutorial purposes. But you just smooth them in with your fingers, very gently. Keep them nice and round. And just a little bit above the body. Okay. Now before you start putting on all your limbs, make sure that he's kind of at the angle you're wanting him. Like his neck. While you can still smooth out anywhere that you push on him. Okay. And now for the wings. I'm going to take 2 little pieces of wire. Little. And you're going to take your purple clay. And just like the spines, you're going to roll it out. Don't make them too thin. Like that. Try again. Now these you'll want to, again, experiment with. I'm sorry I don't have measurements for everything. I'm not really sure how you'd measure it anyway, but I like my dragons to have cute little wings. If you make them bigger, I would suggest definitely putting in a really thin tinfoil armature. But I like making the little ones. They're a little bit easier. And what I do for them, because wings are a pain in the butt to work with when they're on the dragon uncooked. I usually cook them first and then stick them in. At least the frames. See. And then you bend very gently, like this. And then do the same with the other one. Be careful how far you stick this up, because it can poke out the top of it and you don't want that. So stick it about halfway so that it's supporting this part here. You may be wondering why I don't put it through the whole thing. It's because when I put the whole wing membrane in there, it stays pretty strong, and I've never had a wing break, so they're pretty good. Prima's pretty strong and also has some pretty good give to it when it's baked. And so they don't really break super easy. You kind of really have to try to break these guys. Okay, so now, let's say I put those in the oven. Usually I put them in for about 7 minutes on 275, and that's just for primo. It can be different for if you use Sculpey 3 or Fimo. They might have different baking times and instructions, but this is for Primo. Primo, 7 minutes, then take them out. It just gives them enough strength that you don't bonk them and they won't break. So now we're going to take our green again. And you can either take the flat thing that you rolled and put it on it like that. And then cut the shape if you want, but I don't like doing that because I do it my way. I usually take 2 little balls of green here. And then make a triangle, and then kind of pinch the triangle. That will show you. And then, so basically you're building the membrane separately. Like that. Now I put it into the wing. Be very careful on this because the wings are only kind of half baked at this point. Like they're hard enough, but they are kind of fragile because they're not fully baked yet. But I don't want to over bake them when I do the whole dragon, so just be very gentle when you're handling them. And when you're putting the membrane in, push from here up. Push it up into the corner, and that will kind of cement it in there. And then you can just kind of shape the wing a little bit. And you got the inside. And do the same with the other one. So there you go. Now we'll make a little. Now decide which side you want showing out. Let's see. That one will work. Now you can put the second little I don't know what this is called. Little the other spine thing right here. You put it in there. You can put it on either side if you want. I usually just put it on one side. So make 2 little balls again. And roll them out. With a little pointed end. This thing has a really hard time focusing on what I want it to focus on. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, stick it in. And stick it on like that, and then you're going to kind of mush it at the top part so that it's kind of flush like that. And do the same with the other one. Okay, got our wings. Okay, now you're going to put, actually first let's put a few more spikes on our dragon. I do the spikes kind of intermittently so I don't ruin them as I go. Just as I finish a certain part I'm working on, I put spikes there. So we're going to put spikes where the wings are going to go. Do the same boring spike process. I don't think it's boring, but it's probably very boring to watch. I love making these guys. I think pretty much all I ever wanted to do with art was dragon related. When I was a kid, I just drew mostly dragons, sometimes horses, which is why I make ponies too. But even in college, I didn't want to draw what the teachers wanted me to draw. I wanted to draw dragons. So I did. And they got over it. I've always made dragons as a hobby. Kind of a way to relax. It took me a while to realize that it's the medium of choice for me. I do still draw sometimes, but I just don't get quite the happiness I do from this. Okay, so put on a few more spikes, and like I thought, I'm gouging him a little bit. Just smooth anything if you're gouging him, or go clip your nails. It's probably a lot easier. Okay. Now you're going to take a pin. If I have one, I had one. Get another one. Oh, there's pins on the floor. This is good. Enough of you pins. Okay. Now you're going to take your pin, and you may want to kind of... Actually, I'll show you a better way to do this. Okay, take your finished wings here, and you're going to trim some of this wire off, because it's too long and will probably poke right through the dragon. So I trim it a little bit off. Trim it. Now you can kind of test where you're going to put your wings. Should have at least, you don't need to push them all the way in. This is just kind of for placement, so you know where to put your pin at. So it's kind of, you know, like that. Then you're going to take them out, and then you have two little markers where you will stick your pin, so that it will have a nice little hole there to hold your wire. So take your pin. Now, you gotta be careful when you're doing this, because you can totally smash his belly and just smear it right into the other colors. Kind of learn as you work with colored clay how to handle it, because when I started, I smeared it into everything. It was just a mess, but I love how it looks. It's very pretty. It's a lot better than painting. It's just much more vibrant. So it's worth learning how to use it. Okay, so now I got two little holes. And now what I do is I actually take a tiny bit of super glue. This one, the one that I have, it's called Zap-A-Gap. I think I got this at Michael's. And these little, they have these little long attachments. You can usually get them at like the model airplane places. They have a lot of these. These are great for tiny little things like this. So you just put a tiny, tiny, very small dot. That's too much. So don't put too much, because it will dry kind of a white or a yellow, and you don't want that showing up on your clay. So, but this is perfectly good to bake this way, and it makes your wings super strong. So then you just gently push it in there a little bit. Okay, now you're going to do the other one. Just a little bit. Perfect. And no glue shows, so that's good. If you do get some glue showing, just try and clean it up really quick before it dries. Because it does look kind of ugly if it shows. But now the wings will be super strong, they won't fall out. I had to learn this the hard way. When I first started making them, I just stuck them in, but they would sometimes pop out. And that's not good. And this way I've not had a problem. I might have smushed his belly a little bit, so kind of go back and fix it. Okay, so we got a winged snake thing here. Okay, now time for the feet and the arms. Clean up these green bits here. Once I'm done with them. Okay, the feet. Again, just kind of test the size against your dragon. Look, that's too big. So trim that down. Make them equal-ish. Okay, now you're gonna make them in kind of a sort of a teardrop shape here, like that, and then push it down. Hope you guys can see everything I'm doing. Now you're gonna kind of push down here and push it down there, so then it's starting to build kind of a foot that'll be like ramped like that. Do the same with the other one. Got 2 feet. Okay, now I take, you can do this with the X-Acto or with this tool that I have no idea where it is, that you can get it, or what it's called. But you just need like a long, flat, sharp tool. And you're just going to indent like that. You can pull the toes out just a little bit and kind of shape them how you want. Foot. And do the same on the other one. And you got 2 feet. Okay, now let's make the arms. Wow, this is going on an hour now. So I guess that answers a lot of people's questions, how long it takes me to make a dragon. That does depend on what details they have. Okay, now making the arms, I just started making them without explaining how I'm making them. Okay, you're going to take kind of a log. You're going to sort of shape it like this. And then make this end flat. So that'll be the paw. It's kind of like a forearm. And then do the same thing as you did with the foot. Make little toes. If you hear random chuckling, that's that's my husband out there playing Mass Effect with his buddy. Okay, now depending on how you want your dragon's feet to be arranged, I usually have them kind of bent. Just gonna take it bend it, kind of make an elbow. Like that. And do the same with this one. I think I'll have her paws crossed. Okay, we got two little arms here. We're going to put, I usually put the feet on first. One thing you can do on these if you're worried about them falling off, if you've taken ceramics, you've learned about scoring, which is just, you just kind of make it rough on this. You just kind of rough it up where the feet are going to attach, and then you rough up where the feet. Kind of makes the clay grip itself, so it's less likely to break or fall off. I don't always do this. I don't really find it to be a big problem with them falling off, but if you're concerned, then that is one way to make sure they will stay on. So put them there. Just set him down on his feet. He's got feet. Helps if I put him in front of the camera. And then attach the feet, the arms even. These ones I'm not going to bother to score. Just kind of push them on there. And with the arms, sometimes it's better if you you just kind of place them. It's really hard to show what I'm doing. Kind of place it where it's going to be, and then you can, since you're probably afraid of smashing everything at this point, just try and push the arms at the same time, like on both sides, like this, like like this, and then you're not smushing anything, you're just pushing the arms together. And like I said, if the clay is the right consistency, it will stick to itself totally fine. Okay, so now we'll put her little feet across her little hands here. This is not how we wanted this. Like that. Just kind of looking up. Just cute with these little guys. I like to make them usually try and look up, because then usually they're lower than you. So it's kind of cute. Looks like they're looking up at you. Her foot is not cooperating. Okay, now we're just going to finish up the spikes real quick. Down her tail. Just fix anything as you go. Smooth out everything very gently. It doesn't take a lot of pressure to smooth it out. You just kind of make them smaller as you go down the tail. Just shaping them against your fingernail again. Just very carefully placing them. It should want to stick to the clay, not you. Okay. We'll get all the black clay off my fingers here. Okay, now we go over and make sure everything looks how we want it. This is when I tend to really style the spikes. They're usually roughly styled how I want them, but sometimes I want them to kind of flare more. This takes a very gentle touch. It's usually better to not just use your fingers for this. If you have just any tool really that you can just gently move things with, it's probably better. Your fingers will probably just get in the way and smash all your progress. Okay, now what I use to bake my dragons, index cards. Try again. And these work really well. They make it so your dragon doesn't get scorched on the bottom, and they won't burn. Now you're probably thinking paper is bad in the oven, but these guys, they cook at such a low temperature that it's really not a problem. But it's a good way to keep it from scorching, and it's also a good way to transport your dragon to the oven. Now we're going to put his little dice in here. I usually put the 20 up. You can put anything you want in his tail at this point. Sometimes I'll usually put Swarovski crystals. Jeez, what's wrong with me? Put Swarovski crystals in there, which I just get locally. So I can't really tell you where to get those, but yeah, this one's going to hold the dice because I haven't made a dice dragon in a while. I usually put the 20 up. Position it in there. You can cook the dice. I usually find cooking directly into the oven. I think they cook at just low enough temperature that it doesn't bother them. And it's a lot easier that way. But if you want this to just hold your dice, then you don't have to put the dice in. You can put like a stand in, like a foil ball or something, or you can just shape it to the right shape. Which can sometimes be tricky. I think I'm going to make this guy hold whatever dice you like. A lot of people seem to like them to hold their own, or to switch out the dice as they like. Okay, so our dragon looks pretty much done. He's ready to go for bacon. So that's your dragon. And then I'll put them in the oven for about 40 minutes on 275. And that's, again, just for Primo. I can't really tell you on other clay. But just bake them for 40 minutes. And then what I used to glaze them, because I get this question all the time, is... Let's see if I can find it. I think it's in the other room. This. Now you can see exactly what it looks like. I get it at Home Depot in the paint aisle. It's just Verithane's water-based polyurethane. You can use other glazes as well. I have Sculpting glaze, I have Ceramicoat glaze. You can just kind of experiment and see which ones you like. I like this one a lot because it's been proven to be very good with polymer clay. It has a really pretty shine to it too. So yeah, just try that out. I'm pretty sure you'll be in love with it once you try it. The important thing to know with glaze is you need water-based. Otherwise, it doesn't play nice with the clay. And we'll probably eat it over time. Anyway, I'm going to go bake this guy and get him glazed, and then he's going to be up in the shop for whoever wants him. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and maybe I'll make more.